Well, well, well. It looks like I messed up again. But then again, I don't do a whole lot of live streaming. Apparently, I was trying to join in on the previously scheduled live stream, and for some reason, it's created a new live stream. So, for those of you that are sitting on the other live stream, I apologize. Let me see if I can actually just make a comment for those that are waiting on the other one. To start a new live stream. My mistake. So we'll see if that goes up. Well, I posted it and it didn't show up. I don't get it. I wonder. Let me try something. Apologize about the little fiasco here. I'm trying to figure this out to where I can be able to see your chats live. I don't know. I'm going to give up on that part. So I'm just going to assume and I hope that there's people that are actually on this stream here. See, what I'm actually getting on my screen on YouTube, it says it's going live. And apparently it's not connecting. But then again, when I look on my phone, it actually says that it's connected. And then when I look at the pop out for the top chat, there's nothing in chat, which doesn't mean that there's not anybody there. It just means that the chat's not there. Probably because I have the wrong live stream link hooked up. Bear with me 1 second. We'll try to make sense of this madness. Okay, so that did show up on the other. My message did show up on the other live stream. Link hooked up. And that one's working. Looks like you're live. Okay, I'm going to actually have to do the chat via my phone because I see that Tim W. He said that it looks like you're live. Yes, but not on the correct one, and I can't get the correct pop out to pop up regarding the chat. So anyway, we're just going to just chat along. And Tim, if you could just comment and let me know, is the audio okay? Because I want to make sure that the audio sounds decent on this. And then we'll get into the topic at hand, GoPro and some of their patents that they've come out with. Oh, I gotta stretch my back. It's been a very long day. By the way, for those of you that, there's a couple of you that know, my daughter, she was in the Dallas Mavericks basketball camp this entire week with 125 other kids. And today was the last day, and her team won their 5-on-5. They won their 3-on-3. They also won their Around the World. Her team was called the Cincinnati. And out of all the players, my daughter got player of the camp. So she got a lot of stuff from Chick-fil-A, which I thought was really, really cool. Okay, so Tim says, sounds good. All right, I know there's a little bit of a delay here between what I can see here. I promise you, I've done it only one time before, and that was on the main channel where I had pre-scheduled a live stream and then got to pick up that live stream when it was time for it to go live. And obviously I've done something wrong here. So anyway, that's 100% user error. That is all my fault. So action cameras. I had somebody made a comment on my video that I put up this morning regarding the Godox light, and they asked if I've stopped doing action camera reviews. And it's like, no, I haven't. I've actually got some coming up. I'm going to cover up the name on this one, but that's the camera right there that I'm going to be reviewing next. And this camera claims to be capable of 6K at 30 frames per second. Now, 6K, you know, I mean, we've got GoPro. They had their 4K. And if you remember a couple years back, it was SJ Cam that started up with the whole, which one was it? It was the SJ Cam SJ5000X Elite. And that one claimed 4K. But it wasn't really 4K. It was interpolated 4K, which is basically just oversampled 1080p or oversampled 2K. And a lot of people moaned and groaned about it because it's kind of deceitful when you say, okay, it's a 1080p video or it's a 2K video, but you're saying that it's capable of a true 4K, and it's not. And then all these action camera companies, they kind of got wise and started actually producing cameras that could do 4K. And, you know, GoPro's been, you know, let's just call it like it is. GoPro is the king of action cameras, has been. They're the ones that set the benchmark for a lot of stuff. You know, Insta360 One RS is now capable of 6K in a widescreen format, which I think is really cool. But then again, there's going to be a lot of people that say, you know, 4K is already taxing on my computer, especially when it comes to editing. Why in the world do I want to do GoPro 5K or Insta360 One RS 6K? And so I'm kind of curious about this camera that was sent to me. Is it actually going to be 6K? It just came in, so I just charged the battery, stuck an SD card in, formatted it, make sure that it's actually running. Then I've got 1, 2, 3 other action cameras that I'm going to be reviewing here very soon. Let me pop up my chat. Okay, nothing there. So the reason for this live stream, and by the way, I want to backpedal for just a second, and I don't want to make this a very long live stream at all because I don't want to bore you to death. But there's a reason why I left Worth It or Not just as product review channel. Excuse me. And I may go back to it to doing some live streams on there. But for the meantime, I wanted to just have a dedicated channel just for live streams. And here we are. So topic at hand, GoPro. So GoPro has gotten some patents that have recently in 2022, like April, May, June of this year, has gotten approved on a couple of these patents, and a couple of them are really interesting. And then I've got some conjecture about what I think GoPro may be doing. And by the way, if you're wondering about this microphone and the RGB light, I'm kind of using this one for specific reason because Alan at Sound Speeds, by the way, if you don't know Alan, definitely subscribe to his channel. It's called Sound Speeds, and you'll see a red S and blue S, I believe. And he's been in the movie industry for a very, very long time as a boom operator, so he knows all about audio. And him and I, we got this thing about microphones. I sent him a microphone by a company called Vigu, and it was a fun video that we did. This is last year, April, I believe it was, for April Fools. And so this one here is by Fifine or Fifine, and it's an RGB gaming microphone. And I'm just wrapping up some of the review of this one. The reason why I wanted to use it, because from my initial testing, it actually sounds pretty darn good. And plus, I thought Alan would get a kick out of it because he does not like these kind of funky little microphones. He's a professional guy. Now, I do have my DD S-Mic 2 that I use for a lot of voiceover work when I'm doing these videos. I really don't use these USB microphones. Let's see, Dave Smith. Hi, Andre. Hello, Dave. And hello, Tim. Hope everybody is doing very well. So I've got some patents that I came across, and I'm going to put up the screenshots of each one of these so that we can just kind of talk and go along with it to see what is GoPro up to. And the way that they word a lot of these patents, it's so obscure because you just kind of read through it and you're just like, what? What are you trying to say? But then again, they're doing this on purpose because they don't want to be definite in how they explain what this patent is for this product, because if they do, it gives everybody a heads up. But sometimes all you got to do is just read between the lines, or sometimes it just adds something into the patent to where you go, oh, come on now, you didn't even hide that one. So let's go to the GoPro section here. Let's see. Let's start off with this first one. So this first one here, field variable tone mapping for 360 content. So obviously, the 360 content means that they're going to be messing around with another 360 camera, and that's, you know, GoPro has been doing 360 cameras, and they've been doing the GoPros, but you know, 360 camera, I wonder if they're coming out with something new with it. But I'll just let you just kind of take a look here on the screen. You know, the image sensor may capture hyper hemispherical. By the way, I have to look around the camera here to be able to read all this. So basically, another 360 camera. This one here was filed on April the 8th, 2020. The date of the patent was May 31st, 2022. Let's go to this next one here. And by the way, speaking of the 360 one, it makes me wonder, because it's talking about, if you look at the second line here, that the device may comprise an image sensor and processor. I wonder if they're going to come out with the GP2 or GP3 for the processor on a 360 camera. Now, this one here is very unique. This one here, we're talking about a modular configurable camera system. So, modular. So, when you think of modular, what's the first thing that you think of when it comes to an action camera company and modular? It makes me think of Insta360. With the Insta360 1R, now the new RS. And Insta360, great camera. I've got the 1X2 that they sent me. How long has that been now? 7 months, I think. And great 360 camera. But now with this modular stuff, it makes me kind of wonder what direction the GoPro's going in. And the reason I say that is because, let's be honest, if you narrow yourself down to a niche that you just do action cameras, that's it. And maybe, okay, now you're doing 360 cameras. Yes, you're the king of the block, but if you look at GoPro, from the GoPro Hero 7, 8, the 9 was a big jump up in price, and then the 10, a bigger jump up in price. Yes, performance is better, but are they starting to price themselves out of the market just a little bit? Now, I mean, granted, like I said, the GoPro Hero 10 that I've got, the stability on that thing, the EIS stabilization is phenomenal. I like the fact that it shoots in, what is it, 5.3K, I think? Yeah, 5.3K. Sometimes I get them messed up because I got so many different products here that are shooting 5.3, 5.7. But, so, modular. Let's go back to this here. So, a modular system. So is GoPro going to come out with something that's modular to where that they can compete now with Insta360 regarding maybe different lenses, go from a 360 to a regular action camera, maybe introduce a 1-inch mod to it, kind of like Insta360 did with the Leica lens? I'm not really sure. Could be. Could be. Okay, now this next one, I have to kind of read between the lines here, because, and the reason I say that is because if I don't read in between the lines, it's very vague. But it's talking about a microphone. Now, it could be just the microphone for the GoPro Hero 11 that's about to come out, and it's talking about 3 microphones. But when you read that it's got the ability, you got a first microphone, a second microphone, a third microphone, or any combination thereof. The first microphone may be configured to face a first direction. The second microphone may be configured to face a second direction. And the third direction. The third direction may be substantially perpendicular to the first direction, the second direction, or both. The processor may be configured to determine a microphone capture pattern, wind, noise. The microphone capture pattern may be determined based on data obtained from the sensor. So, if it is an action camera that they're talking about these 3 microphones, I think it's really weird that you can have the first microphone in one direction, second microphone in another direction, third microphone in another direction, possibly. But it also makes me think, is GoPro going to get into the microphone market? You know, DJI, they had the DJI Osmo Pocket. Then they came out the DJI Osmo 2. I think it was called Osmo 2, wasn't it? Not the DJI Pocket, the DJI Action. And then we got the Action 2. And then DJI came out with their own little wireless microphone system. So it makes me wonder if GoPro is going to come out with a microphone system of some sort. Something that is either going to be attachable on top of a GoPro or something totally separate. So it may be a shotgun microphone. There was a microphone that I reviewed a while back. I'm trying to think of the name of it. It's the one that had the 2 capsules that could spread apart. You had 90-degree pickup pattern, stereo pickup pattern. You could flip one microphone forward, have the other one facing backwards at you. Oh gosh, the name escapes me right now. But anyway, if you remember back, that little microphone, so it was 2 capsules in a V pattern like this. You could either put them straight together forward, spread them apart, spread them way apart, 90 degrees of each, or 180 degrees of each other, or have them one facing forward, one facing back. I don't know. Maybe GoPro is going to do something regarding microphones, but I think that the wording here is very, very important, because the second microphone may be configured to face a second direction. So if I think about that, you look at the GoPro Hero 10, it's got 3 microphones. Yes, they are in 3 different locations on the camera. Are they referring to that? I don't know. I don't think so. And the reason I bring up all of these patent deals, and I got my little cheat sheet here, but I bring it up for a reason, because I think that GoPro, it's getting to be about time that they branch out. And if they don't branch out, they're going to, like I said, price themselves into a corner and into a niche that they have one product line or 2 product lines, the 360 camera, and they're just not able to kind of compete with, you know, if you look at Insta360, they came out now with the dual 1-inch mod with the battery base and all that. I mean, you know, yes, it's very pricey, $749, I believe. With the dual 1-inch Leica, dual 1-inch sensors with the Leica lens. A lot of money, a lot of money. But like I said, I think GoPro is about to expand their market. Now, everybody has copied GoPro. A lot of people have copied DJI. A lot of people have copied different companies. Deity had the D4 dual microphone. And there's a couple of companies that copied that microphone with the forward and rear facing capsules. So if copying is going to be a thing, I don't see why it would be a problem for GoPro to sit there and go, you know what, we're going to do a modular design now too. But it's probably going to look obviously a lot different if they want to make it so it's not so obvious. Bear with me. By the way, superhuman. I'm a coffee addict, and I will tell you that. And I say it proudly. Let me take a look at my phone here for any pop-outs. Let's see what Tim says. GoPros are great cameras, but those little glitches are frustrating. The video is great, but and the stabilization. Tim, that is very true. You know, the biggest man, I'm about to get on a soapbox now. Let's talk about GoPro Hero 9. That audio, with the audio popping and crackling when you first turn it on and start recording, and GoPro did not want to acknowledge it for the longest time. On the GoPro forums, they actually had, I can't remember how many pages it was. I actually did a video talking about the Hero 9 and his GoPro trying to cover it up, and how all of a sudden it went from like 100 something pages down to like 40. So I was like, is GoPro like cleaning house on the forums? GoPro actually jumped in on that conversation and made a comment on my video saying that they just made more comments per page. Well, if you go back to that video now and you try to click that link to the GoPro forums regarding the GoPro Hero 9 and its audio popping problem, it's gone. They deleted all of that. So, you know, yes, GoPro has got some glitches. I heard people complaining about the GoPro Hero 8 and with its freezing problems. I didn't have any problems with my GoPro Hero 8. Didn't have any problems with my 7. The GoPro Hero 6 didn't have any problems with, although the EIS, you know, they were just going from the GoPro Hero 5, which had your basic level electronic image stabilization, and then they went ahead and then they upped the game a little bit on the EIS. And yes, it looked a lot better than the 5, but the 6 was kind of wonky. The 7 made tons of strides. The 8 was a great camera. I've still got my 8 with the media mod. It's a great camera. The only problem with about the 8 is you can't replace the front lens cover. So if you happen to scratch or damage it, you can't just screw it off. It's actually all one-bodied piece. So when they came out with the GoPro Hero 9, of course, they brought that back because so many people complained about it. The GoPro Hero 10, I'm going to knock on wood. I've got no issues with it. Haven't had any hang-ups with it. So that's a good thing. Let's see if there's any comments. Broken Skull Outdoors. Good evening. I'm sorry. By the way, I'm old, so if I have to read the comments or your chats off of my phone, I apologize about that. I should put on my reading glasses. It's actually regular glasses, but I just don't like wearing them. So, okay, so we talked about a microphone system and possibly an external microphone. I'm thinking it's going to be something external. So let's get on to the next thing here. I'm very shocked about this one. Okay. So I'm just going to put it up on the screen and I'm going to let everybody read what it is. And then we're going to talk about it. Okay. Let's go back to it. This one right here. So, you know, if you just read the top title, that should be able to tell us a lot right there about what GoPro has got planned. Excuse me. And by the way, if GoPro is thinking about going down this path again, wow. It's going to take some guts because this may make or break the company, because I thought that the last drone that they came out with, which was the only drone that GoPro's ever come out with, that drone with it falling out of the sky, now with all the new FAA regulations, you've got to have your Part 107. You have something like that fall out of the sky, that company, GoPro, is done. They are done. They're going to have so many lawsuits that it's going to be ridiculous. So, but then again, I don't know. Maybe they've got some really good engineers now. And when I say drone, it's not that I know for sure that it's a drone, but let's just read what this patent is requesting and what they got approved for. So this patent was filed on April the 9th, 2020. The date of the finalized patent was June 7th, 2022. Automated variable pitch propeller blade. A variable pitch propeller blade is designed to adjust the pitch of the propeller blade during flight to maximize the propeller efficiency. So I'll just let you just kind of read on through there. And it's talking about how it can go up to 20 degrees pitch. And then during flight and hover conditions, when maximal lift is no longer required, that the airfoil displaces upward and reduces the blade pitch to minimize drag forces of the blade tip. Wow. I'm very surprised because I think that GoPro should have, they were able to walk away from the previous drone and all of its disaster and just walk away, and everybody just kind of forgot about it. Nobody talked about it anymore. I'm really surprised that they're wanting to go down this road again. But to preface that, they did, they need to compete. So, like I said earlier, they're trying to compete. They're trying to broaden their market. You've got the Autel Evo. You've got a couple different drone manufacturers out there, and then you've got DJI. DJI, without a doubt, in my humble opinion, is the king of drones. Do I have the Mini 3 Pro? Nope. Am I going to buy one? Nope. 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 I'm not in with DJI, so DJI doesn't send me products to review. And these products from DJI are getting more and more and more expensive. Luckily, for my birthday last year, was it my birthday or was it Christmas? See, that's what happens when you're old. You start forgetting stuff. But anyway, my wife bought me the Air 2S, and that is a great drone. Love the video quality out of it. You can shoot in a nice decent-alike, nice flat profile. You can color grade it. It's great for real estate work. My Mini 2, I'm very happy with it. Okay, it's not 10-bit. Okay, so it's not 10-bit. My Air 2S does 10-bit, so I don't need the Mini 3 Pro. But the reason I say DJI is not going to send me anything, and that's why I'm not going to spend that kind of money. When you're talking about $1,000 for a 249-gram drone, yes, it's capable of all this stuff, but God forbid you hit a tree, you drop it. Actually, when we were in Florida, what was that, a month ago? We were in Florida we go there whenever my daughter gets out of school. So we go to Florida. It was my first vacation in the last 2 years since I tore up my leg and then COVID and all that. But while I was in Florida, our last day there, I'm boxing up everything, made sure I had everything all charged up. I'm putting stuff away. I got the Mini 2 in my hand, drop it. Falls out of my hand. Yes, there's carpet in the hotel room, but it hits the metal base of the table. Luckily, knock on wood again, I had no damage to it, so it didn't hurt anything on the drone. But had that been the Mini 3 Pro and I dropped a little bit harder, and let's say it hit concrete or a tile surface and it broke, I don't want to spend that kind of money on something that's that fragile. And that's not to say that the Air 2S would have survived without any type of damage either, but let's go back to this GoPro thing here, because I want to talk about, is it a drone? Do you think it's a drone? Or, since it's a variable pitch that they're talking about, and if you know anything about aircraft, then you got to think, are they coming out with a copter of some sort? So are they coming out with a drone copter? Are they coming out with maybe a two prop drone that's kind of like the V copter, I believe it is. I can't remember the manufacturer of that one. Excuse me, I was taking a sip of coffee, but I can't remember the name of the manufacturer of that one. But it also makes me think that, here we are. Do you want to go down a copter route? Do you want to really go down a drone route and kind of get back into that field again? Because, oh man, if you're not able to compete and you price it to a point, because I don't know, are they going to do a 249 gram? Are they going to try to get onto that trending train right now and try to compete with DJI? And I can't remember, oh gosh, Jeff Sabelis, he would know. He's got one of them. He's about Autel. I don't know. Could be Autel that makes a little 249 gram drone as well, little mini drone. But I don't, and this is why I think that they're going to get into the drones again because of this next one. So, okay, we looked at the variable pitch. So that obviously it's something that they're going to be putting into the air. Remote control. Now, there's not a whole lot of information there. It was filed August the 17th, 2020. They received the finalized patent on March the 15th of this year, 2022. So does that mean that they are getting into the drone market? You know, if they're coming out with a remote control, I don't think it's going to be a wrist remote control like some of these budget action camera companies come out with, the little wrist remote control. I don't think that that's what they're thinking of doing with one of the GoPros, because if that was the case, you know, I mean, you can use your phone remotely. You've got the whole voice activation, GoPro record, GoPro turn on. So I just, I mean, I grunt because I just wonder. I really wonder, and I wonder if it's going to be a bad move. So anyway, so we've got this remote control. Now, next up, we've got systems and methods for estimating the likely systems and methods for estimating a likelihood of reservoir productivity as a function of a position of a subsurface volume of interest. You know, you would think that I haven't had enough coffee today. I'm probably on cup number 10 already, but I've been up since 5:30. So, what do I devise out of this? So, if you read a little bit further into this patent and what it's talking about, obtain subsurface data and well data of the subsurface volumes of interest, obtain a parameter model, obtain a spatial correlation model. I don't know about you, but to me, that sounds like obstacle avoidance. I think it's a really fancy way, because if you remember at the beginning of the stream, I'd said that some of the wording on some of these patents are really vague, and they're really interesting on how they word this stuff because they don't want to give everything out of the bag. But I seem to think that this is obstacle avoidance. For what? Something that's going to fly in the air, obviously. It's either going to be a copter of some sort or a drone of some sort. So I'll just let you kind of read on through there. And by the way, if you're joining this live stream at a later date, you can always pause the portion here and just kind of take a look and see what you see on these patents. And always feel more than welcome to chime in on these. By the way, Tim, I see that you commented, almost sounds like one of those vehicle takeoff planes. You know, just because it says it's a variable pitch up to 20 degrees for it to get enough thrust to lift up, but once it's in a hover mode or at an altitude mode, they can change the pitch. So it makes me think, Tim, that because if you look at a copter or a helicopter, so the blades, the attack angle of the blades, the pitch of the blades can be varied depending on how much lift that you want to create. And with a normal drone, you've got fixed props on it, so you get a certain attack or a certain angle of attack on the air for lift. But those aren't adjustable. Those aren't variable. The only thing that's variable about a drone prop is the fact that you either speed up the motor or you slow it down. And that's how you adjust the lift. But anyway, so enough of this right here. So I talked about the obstacle avoidance. I really think that that's probably a likely explanation for that patent. Now, I had said in a previous video on this channel that a lot of this is speculation. Is it coming out in September of this year where GoPro normally puts out in September or October? I don't know. I don't know. But I think that with DJI making, this big release with the Mini 3 Pro, it makes me think that GoPro really wants to hit the ground running and they may shake up the world. I mean, here's the thing. You're going to have all the big YouTubers because GoPro didn't send me anything because I'm honest about it. I mean, I like GoPro. I don't like the price point. I like the quality. The video quality is always perfect. Well, not perfect, but it's always great. When you compare it to other action cameras, it's great video quality, the design of the camera, the performance, the options. I mean, 120 frames per second and 4K, all that's all great. Does the price point starting to get a little bit out of hand? And if there's an issue like with the GoPro Hero 9 and the audio popping and crackling, I'll be the first one to raise up my hand and call them out on it. But then again, I will also send an email. And I contacted GoPro. I contacted one of their customer service reps. And of course, it was like, we'll start a ticket for you. Oh, no, don't start a ticket for me. I mean, I don't want to return it, but what's going on with it? Excuse me. Allergies. Claritin doesn't even help me anymore. But I gave them an opportunity, and of course, then they come out with saying, turn on the camera, let it warm up for 2 minutes, and then hit record. I guess we could do that. It's not asking too much, but then again, that's not the way that the product is designed. The product is designed because you can set a function in there where it's one hit, you hit the record button, it automatically turns on the camera and starts recording immediately. That's the function of the camera. That's what you're selling. That's how the product is supposed to perform. And if it doesn't perform to that standard, then you have a problem. But, GoPro, they have also, just like with the Karma drone, and they kind of gently just swept it under the rug and nobody's talking about it anymore. Same thing kind of happened with the GoPro Hero 9. And the GoPro Hero 9 is a decent camera. It's just an audio issue, and it's a hardware problem. But anyway, so let's talk about this here. Okay, so I believe that this one's talking about obstacle avoidance. Now this next one. Configurable input and output connector in a camera. So this patent was filed December 21st, 2020, and they got the patent on April 26, 2022. So it talks about a peripheral device is a non-USB 3 device, remapping, blah, 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 blah. First, I2C signal, remapping of receiver 1 pin to communicate with IC or I2C signal. What I'm gathering out of that is wireless microphone. That's what I think that they're doing. I think that they are not going to mess around with the audio adapter or the media mod, because that first audio adapter brick was ridiculous. That was such an afterthought on GoPro's part for an external audio solution for a GoPro camera. And it worked great, don't get me wrong. But to have USB Type-C cable, you go into this brick, and on the backside of the brick, you've got your 3.5 TRS input so that you could put in an external microphone. Very much an afterthought. A lot of these companies like Ulanzi and all that, they came out with these cages for that just to be able to hold that brick audio source. And then GoPro, of course, comes out with the media mod. Took them forever on the first media mod to release it for the GoPro Hero 8. And so I look at this GoPro patent here as a potential of a wireless microphone that they're going to release. I would not be surprised if they did. Would not at all. Because like I said, GoPro's getting to a point to where that they're going to have to diversify a little bit, and they're going to have to really diversify their portfolio with a product line that's not strictly just an action camera or a 360 camera. So yeah, GoPro, they've got the little speedboat that they send out to all the big YouTubers. excuse me, when they're sending out like the GoPro Hero 9 or the GoPro Hero 10, or you get the little remote control car or pickup truck that you can put the GoPro on. You know, that doesn't mean that GoPro's releasing any of those items. Those are little specialty items that they send out to influencers that they have a good rapport with. But a wireless microphone would not be a bad idea from GoPro. I mean, just imagine if GoPro decided to take a GoPro Hero 11, whether it was wirelessly or through Bluetooth, and you could automatically pair up with an external microphone. Oh, I don't have a GoPro microphone, but I've got this little dude here. Well, let's use this as an example. So imagine you've got this little wireless microphone, you put it up on your collar, you turn it on, it automatically pairs with the GoPro. Now you've got better audio for your GoPro. And you don't have to connect the cable, you don't have to worry about transmitter or receiver. It's automatically built into the camera. That's a possibility. You know, like I said, a lot of this, the stuff I'm talking about is a lot of it is conjecture. And there's nothing rock solid besides the variable pitch prop. I mean, you can't get past that. That's going to be a drone or a flying aircraft of some sort. So, next one up. Systems and methods for stabilizing videos. Video may be captured by an image device. In motion, stabilized view of the video may be generated by providing a punch out of the video. Like I said, a lot of double talk just to kind of mask what they're doing. But I'll let you continue reading on there, and I'll tell you what my thoughts are regarding this here. So, it is either going to be a new version of EIS for the GoPro Hero 11, or it's going to be EIS versus gimbal for a drone. Because it's talking about zoom capabilities. So, will the next GoPro be able to zoom in and zoom out while you're recording? That's a possibility. Maybe it's EIS that, let's say GoPro comes out with 6K or a 7K sensor. Imagine, okay, like the Sony A7 IV. So, the sensor is capable of 7K and it's downsampled to a 4K image. So you get really, really crisp, very good image quality, because you got to think it's being created from a 7K sensor. But what if GoPro is going, and I'm just talking off the top of my head, let's say it's a 6K, 6.5K, 7K sensor, and they downsample it to 5.3K, so they crop it in a little bit to 5.3K, but they've still got that wiggle room on the outside edges for the EIS. And that's basically how electronic image stabilization works, is that it's compensating and it's almost anticipating your moves. Because if you start doing a lot of a tilt, a lot of a roll axis, it starts to notice that and it really starts to stabilize that out. But the zoom capabilities makes me think if it's going to be something drone related, just because, or some kind of flying apparatus of some sort. Now, the next one I want to talk about here is this guy, calibration for image stabilization mechanism. So this one was filed back November 4th, 2019. And the date of the patent was February the 8th of 2022. So when you get to the third sentence there, during thermal conditioning to the predetermined temperature, the control system sends a command to drive one or more motors of this image stabilization mechanism to cause movement of an image device coupled to the image stabilization mechanism. That's called a gimbal. So if it's got multiple motors, like a three axis gimbal, is that a gimbal for the drone? Or, remember how I said I think that GoPro is going to expand a little bit? You know, you've got companies like Manfrotto. They've come out with a full size gimbal for full size, full frame cameras. I've got one from Manfrotto. It was sent to me quite a while back, but there were some issues. Firmware's been updated. Everything's perfect on it, so that review's going to be coming soon. But Manfrotto, yeah, you know Manfrotto tripods? Manfrotto made a gimbal, a three-axis gimbal for full-size cameras. So makes me wonder if GoPro's going to get into the gimbal market. They don't need a gimbal for their action cameras because the EIS is actually so good on it. You don't need a gimbal at all, at least in my opinion. But let's finish reading through some of this. After stopping the drive system, one or more motors, the control system sends a command to calibrate the one or more sensors. So that's either a gimbal for the potential flying object. Let's say it's either a copter or a drone, or it's a gimbal for a bigger camera. Why in the world would GoPro get into gimbals for a bigger camera? I have an idea of why they may do that and why it may be actually beneficial for GoPro to do that. By the way, if you hear I'm starting to lose my voice, it's because while I was out at the Dallas Mavericks basketball camp all day watching my daughter, of course, I'm hooping and hollering and cheering her on like a good dad's supposed to. But I look at this and say, okay, so it's motors for a gimbal. I don't think that they're going to do some type of optical image stabilization, kind of like the Sony X3000 action camera, or even some of the Sony camcorders. They have that optical steady shot, where it's actually the whole sensor array and the lens assembly that it all moves around to compensate for any movement of the camera itself to try to keep the image nice and stable. I don't, but then again, I say I don't know. They may be coming out with an action camera that has electronic image stabilization and built-in optical stabilization where the whole lens assembly moves around. Possible. I don't think so, because when I get further on into this conversation talking about what may be coming up with GoPro and what they may bring, and if somebody from GoPro is listening, this may be a great opportunity for you to think about, oh, wow, that's a good idea. We'll jump on it. And GoPro, if you're listening, you don't have to pay me anything for the idea. Let me get back to chat real quick, and then we'll get on to this next patent here. Tim W. I like that wireless mic idea. I would do that one. I think that if it was automatically paired to the camera and you didn't have to use a receiver, that there was already a receiver built into the camera, whether it was wireless or whether it was over Bluetooth somehow. I don't know. I mean, I'm not an electrical engineer. I've tampered with electrical stuff. I do a lot of soldering. I repair old radios. So I've got a little bit of basic 101 when it comes to electronics and how to work my way around and reading schematics. But when it comes to action camera stuff and all this technology today, I have no idea. But I'm sure if I had applied myself, I could probably start figuring some of this stuff out. Let's see. Gimbal on a drone or handheld. Hello, Jeff Winters, by the way. Yes, Tim, gimbal on a drone. So you've got your 3-axis gimbal on a drone, kind of like DJI does with all of their drones, except the DJI Spark only had a 2-axis gimbal, and the 3rd axis was actually electronic stabilized in camera. Let's see. Hello, Jeff Winters. Hi. Maybe GoPro might make a dash camera. You know, that's very possible because if you look at some of the stuff where they're talking about coordinates, it could be that they're doing an overlay. So you've got GoPro quality as a dash camera. Can you imagine that? I mean, you know, a lot of people they use a GoPro as a dash camera and they get phenomenal footage. Nothing that I would ever do, and especially in the Texas heat, because when, you know, like it's supposed to be, I think, 103, 104, 105 for the next 10 days here. And that's actual temperature. So I think it's supposed to be 110 to 114 with the heat index. So inside of a car, you're looking at 140 degrees. That will destroy a GoPro pretty darn quick. Unless they do a super capacitor instead of a battery, which is a possibility because a lot of these dash cameras are doing that. Okay, so I got to take a swig of that. Let's talk about the next item here from GoPro. So we've already talked about the EIS for either the GoPro camera or a drone. Let's see. Go to the next one here. So this one here is just a kind of a blanket shot of a couple of different items. So the ones that I was really interested in is the last three. So we've got camera housing filed August 14, 2020, data patent May 31st, 2022. Then the next one, October 11th, 2021 was what it was filed. May 31st is when they got the patent. And the other one is November 29th, 2021. They got it June 7th of 2022. So what does that lead me to believe? Camera housing, 3 camera housings. You know, for all the people out there that actually really enjoyed GoPros, by the way, I mean, adjust this a little bit. Am I getting a little dark? I'm okay. So you've got the 360, you've got the GoPro action camera itself, the Hero. Are they bringing back the Session? A lot of people that really liked the Session because it was such a cool design. Yes, it didn't have a screen on it, but you had your basic little info on the little OLED screen, or was it OLED or LCD screen on there? But you could choose, okay, your resolution, frame rate, hit record, and you were off and running. I wonder if they're going to bring the Session back in some capacity. Or is it going to be a Session that is a modular design? Because we're talking about camera housings. So it doesn't give you any detail regarding camera housing, any specifications, any size, any of the mumbo jumbo that GoPro was doing with their previous examples that I gave you. Let's see. Let's go to the next one here, number 11. Okay, so we've got camera. Okay, so December 16th of 2021, they filed a patent for a new camera. They got the patent on June 7th of this year. So 3.5 weeks ago. So new camera. And then we've got camera housings. June 7th was approved for new camera housing. June 14th, a new camera housing. June 14th, another new camera housing. So they're coming out with a new camera. So that's possibly going to be the modular design that we were talking about. And maybe they're coming out with the new housing. So maybe the GoPro Hero 11 is going to have a whole new look again to get away from the GoPro Hero 9. Maybe the Session's going to have a little bit different design on it. Maybe the 360 camera is going to have a little bit of a different design on it. Maybe the 360 camera is going to be modular where you can change out the lenses on it for different size sensors. It's all possibilities, but there's definitely some new stuff coming down the pike from GoPro, because if you look at all the stuff, I mean, all these patent requests, and by the way, patent requests do not guarantee you that they're coming out with a particular product. So just because they have a variable pitch propeller blade or prop does not mean that it's going to be another drone. Just because they're talking about a remote control does not mean it's a remote control for another drone that they're coming out with imminently. This may be 2023, 2024 when they're going to do it. I don't think so. My gut tells me that GoPro is daring enough that where they're going to come out with another drone. Come hell or high water, they're going to dip their feet right back into that water again. And on the plus side, on GoPro Hero, or on GoPro's defense, I can almost guarantee you that Nick Woodman sat down with the engineers and said, what? You guys want to come out with a drone again? You better make gosh darn sure that this thing does not fall out of the sky, that the batteries in there are secure, that it doesn't look like somebody built it in their garage, really odd looking shape, and that you don't have to put a GoPro on it, that it has a built-in camera, all that. You better get all that stuff knocked out and make sure it has optical avoidance, and maybe it's even got tracking features, because if you look at like the Skydio maps its environment. Is that something that GoPro is going to do with this new drone or new flying machine of some sort that has props on it? Is it going to be able to map its environment and make adjustments according to that? That's a possibility. That's a possibility. Sorry, that was the wrong screen, wasn't it? Electronic image stabilization frequency estimator. So, is this about the drone gimbal again, or is this about a full-size gimbal for cameras? This one here is April 26th of 2022. So I'll just let you kind of read through some of that and make your own determination. And if you have a comment about, by the way, if you have a comment about any of these ideas or hypothesis that I'm coming up with, definitely be able to put it into the comment section, because I am not the end all, be all, know all of really anything. I mean, you know, I can only tell you what I've come across with certain cameras, certain action cameras, certain gimbals, like the Evo gimbal. A lot of people don't even remember Evo. Evo made a gimbal for action cameras, and that thing was, you didn't have to worry about motor vibration, anything, calibrating it. You just turned it on and it worked great. But they were pricey. I want to say back in 2016 when I got the Evo gimbal, it was like $399, where you can get gimbals for an action camera now for like $89, if not less expensive. But anyway, it was a very, very good gimbal. But is this going to be a drone gimbal, or is this going to be a full-size gimbal? Because like I said, GoPro does not need a gimbal for their action cameras. And let's get to this one here. Let's see. Did I jump over this one? Because I had an idea. I wrote down my notes, but I didn't keep track of which patent number was the one that I was thinking of. What is what? Let me take a look. So it's not that one. Electronic image stabilization frequency estimator. There's motion frequency threshold on the media. Okay. So in my notes here, I was talking about, are they coming out with an app that has flow state type of stabilization? Because if you look at Insta360, and they've got the Insta360 phone app, where you can stabilize the footage even more, or you can actually use the Insta360 desktop app and initialize flow state, which really helps stabilize all that footage. Is that something that GoPro is going to do? And if they do an app, I wonder if they're going to also do it with pre-programmed scenes. So let's look at this one here. Dynamic synchronization of frame rate to a detected cadence in a time-lapse image sequence. So if you look at line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, midway, alternately in a post-processing process, frames of a captured image sequence are selectively sampled at a sampling rate corresponding to the dominant frequency of motion, blah, 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 blah. I wonder if GoPro's actually coming out with, it's either that they're going to do it with their 360 camera. I don't think that the GoPro Hero 10 or the 11 when it comes out, I don't think that it requires that because the EIS is so good. I don't have the GoPro 360 camera, so I can't attest to what its stabilization is like. Is it GoPro Hero 10 like, or do you have to do post-processing on that? Wow, my voice is really going out. But I wonder if they're going to kind of copy that a little, because, you know, with the Insta360 phone app, you've got all these different templates that you can use with the footage that you've taken. And I think that GoPro is going to expand a little bit more with their GoPro app. I don't have the GoPro app, so I can't really comment on the app itself, what GoPro offers. But I don't believe that they offer all the templates that what Insta360 One does with their phone app or even with the desktop app, but more so with the phone app, because you can do the trailing figure where you're walking by and it shows you here, walk a little bit and leaves you there, and then you got the lightning bolt and all that kind of stuff. I just wonder if GoPro is going to do something like that with their own idea of templates. And I want to get to something where I really think that this is what GoPro's niche should be. And just follow me for a second. So I'm going to show you this camera here. I don't know if you can see it. It's the Yi. Now, you may remember the Yi as an action camera. So Yi made the 4K 60 frames per second action camera. They were the first to do that. The Yi stabilization was really, really good, considering that it wasn't a GoPro. Yi decided that they were going to get into the camera market. So Yi made this camera. It's called the M1. It is a micro four thirds sensor on this camera. It has a Sony sensor. It was not all that bad. I mean, I say that genuinely because it had so much potential, and you could shoot 4K video with this. Yes, it does crop in. I think it was like 1.5, 1.6 time crop in on it. The kit lens that came with it, not too bad. Wasn't the greatest thing in the world. Had stabilization built into the camera. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either, considering it was better. The stabilization on this is actually better than the Canon M50 that I'm shooting on right now. When the stabilization is actually turned on the Canon, the stabilization was better on this. Then all of a sudden, Yi decided that they weren't going to support this camera anymore. They tried. They had a lot of influencers rip this camera apart because these influencers are saying, oh, it's a junk camera. The autofocus is not that great. And it wasn't. It works. It's very, very, very slow. I think that the camera, I'm sorry for hitting the microphone. I think that the Yi camera, the M1, had the capability of being refined a little bit more. There may have been some hardware limitations built into that camera to where they couldn't really tweak a whole lot more out of it. Maybe they squeezed every ounce of energy and performance that they could out of what was internally built into that camera. But why do I bring up the Yi? Can you imagine, just for a second, if some of these camera patents that they're actually talking about, like camera body, camera housing, new camera, what if GoPro decided that, you know what, we're going to go from action cameras, we're going to go to a vlog style camera. let's say they did something like the Sony ZV-1 in its size, not maybe not even a detachable lens like this one here. You've got a fixed lens on it. But just think for a second. You got a GoPro Hero 10 type of stabilization that they put into a vlogging camera. Wouldn't that be something? I mean, I don't know. Could it be a 1-inch sensor? Could it be an APS-C? Could it be a micro four thirds? I don't think that they're going to come out with a full frame. Just because if your first offering into a certain niche is going to be a camera of not a action camera, I don't think that you want to go full out, full frame, and then have all of the creators, YouTube influencers out there rip that thing to shreds. You want to kind of take baby steps. They took baby steps with the Karma drone. Baby fell out of the crib, fell out of the sky. Maybe they learned a lesson. Maybe now the next drone or flying object is actually going to be worthwhile to where it doesn't fall down. I'm curious to see. Do I want to buy a GoPro drone? No. I'm happy with my DJI products. I'm happy with them. If Autel wants to send me a drone to review, I will review the dickens out of it. If Skydio wanted to send me their Skydio drone, the Skydio 2, man, I would love to review that. They're not going to. I'm not a big enough channel for that. And that's okay. But I don't want to invest any kind of money into drones when I'm very satisfied. The drones that I have right now, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 or 5. They fit all of my needs. All my needs are covered with those drones. But if they said it to me, hey, I'm not going to be a fool. I will take it and review it. But what if they come out with a camera that you could vlog with, even if it was like the Sony, was it the ZV-E10 that's got an interchangeable lens? Man, I mean, if it was a micro four thirds or APS-C and you could accept lenses from different manufacturers. But I think that if GoPro wants to play it smart, don't let the competition in, be your own competition. I think that they came out with a vlogging camera with a built-in lens, maybe with a zoom functionality where you could have not a digital zoom, an actual optical zoom on it, and you incorporate that EIS, get out of here. Maybe that's where that other microphone comes into play. Maybe that's going to be a shotgun microphone for a vlogging camera. I think that the future is going to be very interesting over the next couple of months going into September, October, or even into next year. But I really think it's going to be the September, October of this year that GoPro is going to release this possible drone or flying object of some sort. Maybe the Session. We already know that a new 360 camera is coming out. They're probably going to come out with a modular design on their cameras in some sort of way. And Sony hit this one out of the park. This really brought the focus back on Sony. And by the way, there's a lot of people that are like, okay, well, Andre, you used the Canon M50. And you recently got the Sony A7 IV and the A7S III, and now you're a Sony fanboy. No, I've been a Sony fanboy for many, many, many years. A lot of the cameras that I have are Sony cameras. My old camcorders are Sony cameras. I've got the PJ, Sony. If there's one thing I could tell Sony, when it comes to your camcorders and it comes to your action camera, stop jerking around with these crazy names. Sony FDR X3000. It's not a goddamn spaceship. It's a camera, right? Don't make it so complicated. But one of their camcorders is PJ something had optical image stabilization where the whole lens and image sensor moved. I shot three documentaries on that camera as an A camera. Now, granted, it's been a couple of years back, but still a very good camera. Then I got the Sony AX33 4K with the optical image stabilization and or optical steady shot. Great camera. I used that one as an A camera for a while. I've got another bigger camcorder that was my workhorse for years. Then I've got, of course, I had a Sony Handycam, the X3000. This thing right here, in my opinion, brought the spotlight. The ZV-1, by the way, if you don't know, let me get some light on that dude. It's in a small rig cage. This one is, to me, is what brought back all the focus back on the Sony. The Sony a7S III, man, what a beast of a camera. The Sony a7 IV, yeah, it doesn't shoot 4K at 120 frames per second. I don't care. I got the Sony a7S III if I want 4K at 120. The Sony a7 IV, great camera. But this is about GoPro. Can you imagine? GoPro comes out with a point and shoot camera, a vlogging camera, and for God's sake, make sure that the lens on it is wide enough angle to where it's actually a vlog camera, so I don't have to get a Ulanzi lens and screw it on the front of here to get just a little bit, a couple more degrees of field of view. But just imagine if GoPro did something like that, because I believe the GoPro Hero 10, if I'm not mistaken, has 1 or 2 gigs of memory. I think it's 1 gig of memory to help with the stabilization. So imagine that they do 2 gigs of memory in a point and shoot camera, and they do their algorithm to be able to get that type of electronic image stabilization out of a handheld vlogging camera. You don't need a gimbal anymore. You don't need to worry about, okay, I've got to turn this one, I've got to go from standard to active, and it does an 1.2 or 1.5 crop on it. You don't have to worry about any of that. Just imagine. I think that that's a possibility for GoPro, and I think it could be a really big game changer for GoPro regarding their market. You know, my last little cheat sheet notes here about GoPro is I got to circle back, and I don't need this anymore, but let's circle back to the drone and trust issues. How many people, and I'll ask you, comment below, how many people would trust a drone from GoPro? Could it be that they've learned their lesson? Very, very, very possible that they learned their lesson. Maybe they've learned a lesson to the point where they can actually produce a drone that has obstacle avoidance, a good 3-axis gimbal, a good camera system, because that could be part of this patent stuff for the cameras. Something that, I'm not really big on flight time where, it's got to get 40, 50, 60 minutes of flight time per battery. I'm not into that. I mean, if I can get 15, 20 minutes, because I guarantee you, if you buy a Fly More package of any drone and it comes with 3 batteries, and let's say each battery lasts you, let's just devil's advocate, let's say it lasts you 15 minutes per battery. That's 45 minutes. You're going to get bored unless you really got a lot of shots planned out, because if you're doing back-to-back batteries, you're going to be bored. I mean, after about 10, 15 minutes, you're going to be like, okay, I've really got a ton of shots. What more is there to shoot? But would you trust GoPro to create another battery? Would you trust enough to where you would spend your money on another drone from GoPro? I don't want to get back to the comment section here because since I don't have the pop-up window for the comments, like I said, I've got to do it through my phone because I don't want to unlink from YouTube right now, and God forbid, drop this stream midway, or actually I'm right on the tail end of it. Let's see, do you think they'll ever make a GoPro with a full frame sensor? That's from Jeff Winters. Jeff, I think that if GoPro does what I think that they would, or I think that they should, if they come out with a vlogging camera and it's a 1-inch sensor or an APS-C, or like I said, a Micro Four Thirds, and it does really, really well, and they figure out the dynamics of what users want out of a vlogging camera. Not that you can't do that with a GoPro, but a GoPro, you've got that action camera type of look. Even if you put the lens on linear, you've got that GoPro action camera look. You get something that's got a nice 1.8 lens on it, nice fast lens, or you get some nice shallow depth of field where the lens is not infinity focus. I think if that camera does really well for GoPro, which I think that it would, especially if they have an external microphone or wireless microphone that they're coming out with too, and they've got that stabilization, I can see where maybe in a year or two, GoPro says, you know what, screw it. We've got our GoPro Hero line of action cameras for those that want to use it for action sports. We just came out with this vlogging camera. It's been a great success, just like the Sony ZV-1 was for Sony. And our vlogging camera did really well. Okay, screw it. We're going to go full-on cinema camera. Wow. Because, I mean, look at DJI. DJI is not just a drone manufacturer. So if you look at their, what's that new cinema camera called? The 4D. So you've got your typical 3-axis stabilization, but now you've got the 4th axis, which is your Z-axis. So it's got an arm on it. So here's the camera, and it's got this arm on it that will pitch up and down to keep the camera pointing forward. Oh, let me see my finger there. Because the only thing about a gimbal is if you're walking, unless you're doing a really good ninja walk, and that takes some practice, by the way. Take it from me. It takes some practice. But unless you're doing a ninja walk, you will get that little slight up and down bobbing movement. And that's from DJI, full-on cinema camera, the 4D. I think that GoPro may say, you know what, it's time for us to get into a whole new genre of cameras. We've already got this camera technology stuff down, miniaturized. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's go full boron cinema. If they have a vlogging camera that performs well and it gets really good reviews and there's not any issues with audio or video or freezing or any of that, I was about to say a bad word, or any of that stuff, I could see people in the film industry that shoot documentaries or short films or full-length feature films going, you know what, I don't mind spending 5, 6, 7, 10 grand on a GoPro cinema camera. You never know. Would the value of the GoPro name increase tremendously? I think it would. Let's get back to this here. Tim W. The small action camera is just for a fun thing. I've got Insta360 Go 2. Great little gadget. Insta360 was supposed to send me the Go 2, the 64 gigabyte version. And then the contact that I had for Insta, he just flaked out, disappeared off the planet. So I don't know what did. Insta goes through a lot of different representatives. I'd like to get it. I just, when you're spending $5 a gallon for gas, money's getting tight. I'm not getting into the whole political, economic, religion thing because those are 3 things you just don't ever want to talk about. But money's getting tight. And I've got the little Acaso, what do they call it? The keychain camera, 4K. Not the best 4K in the world, not the greatest image stabilization, but I would like to get the Insta360 Go 2. Looks like a really cool gadget. To me, I like the fact that it doesn't matter how the camera is oriented, because with the Acaso keychain camera, you had to keep it one direction, the buttons up on top, because if you turn it sideways, all of a sudden you have portrait mode. The new Insta360 app has a lot of features where you can change the sky background. It's pretty good. I haven't tried the new app yet, Tim, or I've got the new update, but I haven't really messed around with it because it's just been crazy busy. But I will check that out. Jeff Winters, GoPro could buy the patents and put them in another camera and use the GoPro image stabilization if they want to. I really believe that. 100%, Jeff. I think that they could do that. Tim W. Drone with a vlog camera with a gimbal on it. I think Tim's trying to be facetious now. Can you imagine that? You got a drone that's carrying a vlog camera that has a 3-axis gimbal. No, I think that, a drone, and I talk about gimbals on a drone because a drone camera requires a gimbal. Otherwise, you're going to get that crazy vibration video look. And even with electronic stabilization, it's still going to be really wonky and jello-y. Jeff Winters, GoPro drone. I would let other people buy it first and see what they say about it. You know, I'm 100% with you there, Jeff, because can you imagine? I mean, now, if GoPro sent me a drone, would I test it? Sure. I would definitely review it. I would review the dickens out of it. But I would take it out to a field of 20, 30 acres, maybe 50 acres, just to make sure, out in some deserted part of West Texas, to make sure that if there was an issue and it decided to fly away or fall out of the sky, there was nothing but ant hills for me to worry about. Um, Flying around normal places, flying around a farm or anything like that, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it with a GoPro drone unless I knew for certain that it could stand up to the test of time and be able to do what it's supposed to do. So anyway, it's been an hour and 21 minutes, and I apologize for taking that much longer because I was only wanting to do about an hour, and my voice kind of gave up on me about the 50-minute mark. But kudos to my daughter. Camper of the week. Camper of the week. She was best player of the week out of all those players at the Dallas Mavericks basketball camp. She's only 11 and she rocks in basketball. Then again, she's 11 and she's like 5'5" and an eighth right now. She just surpassed my wife in height. Now I'm 6'6" if you don't know, so I think that my daughter is going to take after my height rather than my wife's. Because I told my wife, I said, it's going to be really funny here another year or so when you have to look up at her and get on to her about doing something because she's going to be taller than you. So these are my ideas about GoPro. This is what I think that GoPro has got coming out. The prop patent is probably the most interesting that they're going to get into. I hope that they bring back the session. I think that would be a big winner for them, a big plus, that they could sit there and go, okay, we've got a market that says, all right, we don't want the big GoPro Hero 10 anymore or 11, whatever its body style is going to look like. We want just a small little cube, something that gets good stabilized video. And GoPro should be able to put this new stabilization system into a new session or whatever that they would call it. I'm kind of curious about the modular design. I'm not curious about 360 with GoPro because I like the 360 cameras that I have with Insta, and I think that they make a really good 360 camera. I've got the 1R and I've got the X2. They perform great for me, just all that I need. Unless, like I said, GoPro, you want to send me something? Send me something. But otherwise, I want to go ahead and end this stream right now. I want to thank everybody for joining in. If you have any thoughts after the stream is ended and you've kind of went back and you looked at some of these patents and you read in between the lines of something a little bit different than what I did, definitely put it in the comment section below because, we're a community. It's all of us together. It's not one brain that can decipher stuff. It's a community of brains that it could be Jeff, could be Tim, that says, you know what? Now, see, somebody do me a favor, because I just saw this pop up. Naked HD XYZ. Somebody report the crap out of that channel to YouTube. Tim, thank you very much for joining in. Thanks, Andre. Congrats on your daughter. Thank you very much, Tim. I do appreciate you. Jeff, thank you very much for joining in, Jeff. And I apologize once again that I wasn't able to pick up the stream from the original stream link that I was supposed to. But Naked HD, let's see, I don't know if I can make let's see, I don't have a chat pop up. But if somebody could just report that, click on the little 3 dots next to it and report. and I'll make sure that Naked HD XYZ goes straight to hell. These spammers on these channels are definitely crazy. Anyway, I gotta go. I gotta eat some dinner. Gotta hang out with the wife. She just came home just a little bit ago. Have yourself a good weekend. Good, safe 4th of July, Independence Day. And until the next live stream, I may have a guest or two on. Could be interesting. All right, talk